Hello and welcome to January 23rd, where we're reading Exodus 1 through 4. Now, after the relatively slow pace of the last few chapters of Genesis, Exodus 1 through 4 really throws us into the first arc of this new story. It's not a new story, it's a continuation of the old story, but it gets going pretty quickly. We're introduced to Moses' birth, his upbringing, his exile, his call, and the eventual return to Egypt, all in these first 4 chapters. Moses, as a character, takes center stage in this book, and so it's important to follow his story as it goes through. Now, if you want a more detailed breakdown of what is in each of those chapters, chapter 1 serves as kind of a summary chapter for about 400 years. It's about 400 years after Joseph dies, before the book of Exodus really picks up and starts going. There's a brief history recounting the death of all the brothers, and ultimately the ascension of a new Pharaoh onto the throne, a Pharaoh who was not familiar with Joseph. As a result, he starts to persecute the people of Israel. He enslaves all of them and tells them to get rid of their baby boys. Those aren't allowed under new Pharaoh. And so in the beginning of chapter 2, you see Moses' parents try to keep him around as long as they can, but they're not allowed to legally, and so they try to keep him alive. His mother builds him a basket, puts him in a basket, puts him on the river, and sees what will happen. God, of course, brings about events in such a way that Pharaoh's daughter meets Moses, even while he's just an infant, pulls him out of the water, takes care of him, decides to adopt him into the royal household, and so Moses becomes not just a Hebrew, but he is one of the royal house himself. Unfortunately, when he goes out to defend one of his fellow Hebrews, he gets across the wrong end of a slaver and ultimately kills the Egyptian slaver. That casts him out of the land of Egypt. Pharaoh does not like his servants being murdered, and so Moses runs away, finds love in a desert, and becomes a shepherd himself. Now, chapter 3, Moses meets the burning bush. God manifests in a bush that is eternally on fire and yet never burning up. And God calls Moses to go and do some work for him, including in chapter 4, giving him a few different miracles that he can utilize to convince others that God is with him. And so as Moses is about to head into Egypt, he is blessed with God's presence and the ability to prove it. There's a lot that goes into those chapters. I am summarizing so much of that. And so if you want to engage with some of it more, if you want more detailed explanations, you can go over to the written page. There's more stuff that's written out there. Otherwise, I guess I'll see you tomorrow for January 24th, where we'll be reading Exodus 5, 6, and 7 in the beginning of the confrontations with Pharaoh.